Welcome to my channel. My name's Bissy, and in this video, I want to ask, can we just sit and bask in the toxicity of Interview with the Vampire for just a few minutes? I promise I'll get back to my more balanced, responsible pieces next week. But just for a moment, I really want to sit with the toxic relationships in this show and highlight my most toxic moments in seasons 1 and 2, why I can't stop watching them, how they make me feel, and who's been on my mind since my very first watch. Members of my Clean Club got to watch this video early, and it's a really lovely time, just me and my members for a few days discussing the latest video topic. As a member, you'll also get to suggest shows and movies for me to react to and deep dive into next. One of the lovely members of the Clean Club, Ag95, suggested Heated Rivalry. And you can find those reaction videos live on my channel now. There were lots of other fun perks to becoming a member, and it would mean the absolute world to me if you joined. Okay, so with that said, let's start with Louis and Armand's relationship. Now, I believe I need to give just a little bit of context about me so that you understand where I'm coming from with some of my thought processes and opinions. So I've never been in a relationship where things have gotten physically violent, thankfully. I've never even sworn at a partner before. So, growing up, I never saw my parents argue. Even today, I've never even heard my dad raise his voice in anger. And I have to say that my relationships as an adult have followed suit. Well, mostly. I guess the relationship my parents modelled for me informed my love map at a really young age. And therefore, I've never really been attracted to violent men, verbally or physically. Speaking and really communicating, even if it takes hours, was my family's way and is my way till this day. We weren't perfect, but in the best way, it's been an incredible blessing to know that that kind of relationship exists and that with the right person, I could have that same level of respect and love myself. But in another way, it left me wholly ill-equipped to handle anything that even resembled aggression from a man in my intimate relationships. I personally can't handle people who use raised voices and swear words to get their point across. I think I would actually curl up and cry if during an argument my partner swore at me, like not as a filler word in a sentence, but the swear word was directed at me, like calling me a name. I wouldn't be able to take that, I don't think. Well, after the shock and fear of it all, I think I'd remember whose daughter I was and get myself out of that relationship. Sharpish. And that's speaking from my own personal experience. So why have I watched Louis and Armand's fight in season 2, episode 5 on loop? Why am I so captivated by this fight? There is no structure, and what I mean by that is that there doesn't seem to be an aim to resolve the issue or even discuss the real issue. Instead, the threshold for compassionate, respectful civility is left right in the dust, and we see the two of them hit as hard as they can. Louis is cruel. I know Louis said that Loustat said that Louis was never cruel in season 1, episode 6. But this Louis, real Louis, heat of the moment Louis, is deeply cruel. Armand, his companion of 30 odd years, is upset. He's told you why he's upset too. Daniel was a reporter. They haven't fully escaped the consequences of Paris. Indeed, what if he had published? And Louis doesn't hear him. Louis doesn't seem to want to hear him. Louis, in fact, seemed annoyed that Armand was even there at all. We also learn that this is a regular occurrence for Louis and Armand. Louis' triannual bender. And here Armand is, back to clean up Louis' mess. And with the slightest provocation, Louis completely loses it and lists the reasons why his life with Armand is and has been awful. When I first saw this scene, I literally gripped my chest and sat there with my mouth open, unblinking. I think I said in a previous video that this scene felt so intimate. I felt as though I was listening in on my neighbours. But on reflection, I think a better description of how I felt would be this. I felt as though I was in Armand's position, and the person I loved most in this world looked for, and didn't even have to dig too deeply to find, the most hurtful things he could find, and then say those things to me. all the while physically trying to provoke a response out of me by antagonistically coming into my face and putting his hands on me in this way. It's like Louis's biggest fight with Lestat was physical. Their reunion was very physical too. Lestat provokes a reaction out of Louis by sending him that song with Antoinette's voice on it. And Lestat's injuries, just after they've made up, shows just how rough that makeup really was. And this comparatively beige life he's been living with Armand is just that. Colourless, with no immense highs, and without the same type of terrifying lows. Armand himself called their relationship a prison of empathy. Man, ugh. Each of Louis's insults hit like a physical blow. But Armand doesn't do as Lestat does. He isn't Lestat. He would never be Lestat. I have to remember sometimes that Lestat was Louis's very first proper relationship, whose first relationship didn't imprint on them in a really impactful way, for good or bad. I believe that Louis's love map was written in the exact opposite way to mine, but with this much disdain for your companion brewing right under the surface. Come on, Louis. You've got to leave, pal. And then there's Armand. Armand keeps that cool of his for as long as he can, before he snaps. And just like I said, he is not Lestat. He isn't going to hit Louis. And he certainly isn't going to drop him from 2 kilometers in the air. But he too would dig as deeply as he can to hurt Louis. So far that it will result in him walking out into the sun. This is after Armand breaks his self-imposed embargo on Lestat's name after 23 years. After the maddening sound of Lestat's name being repeated for 10 hours by Louis. But the wildest part of this for me is that after Armand saves Louis from the sunlight, he stays and nurses him. Okay, that's not too strange, as I wouldn't be able to personally walk away from someone who was that hurt either. But whilst caring for Louis, Armand is simultaneously torturing the man who kept Louis's attention for those 10 hours. This fascinating boy. All right in front of Louis. He is furious. Armand is furious. But it's a simmering kind of fury. It's not the explosive kind, but it's definitely there. He listens to the entire 10 hours of tape multiple times. He keeps Daniel there for days. He contacts Lestat and chats with him. And at the same time, Louis forgets that he said the worst things he had ever said to Armand. His sorries are meaningless to him at this point. Louis also stops Armand from taking Daniel out, and they fog Daniel's mind together. Oh, and whilst Louis is convalescing, Armand says, absent-mindedly it would seem, that the room slants slightly to the north, and that they should fix that before they sell. To me, Armand saying this in the aftermath of their biggest fight just says to me that he knows that he's not going anywhere. He knows Louis not going anywhere either. He knows this isn't the end of their relationship. This is what they do to each other, I guess. Now, I can only speak from my experiences. I know I'm a sensitive soul. The ones I love deepest in this world have the power to completely finish me. And I know that I hold that power with them too. So I consciously decide to keep the pain to a minimum whenever there is conflict, especially if they are in my life by choice. And I would hate for anyone to think that I'm reveling in the glamorization of an abusive relationship. I'm not. As I don't believe that this show glamorizes abuse. I think they are showing us two dangerous and toxic adults in a severely dysfunctional relationship. They go blow for blow, right to the end. Granted, they do seem to be locked in a cycle that is incredibly unhealthy, but I don't know that I can see that one is overtly abusing the other. I may be completely wrong. I mean, there may be things that I can't see or that I haven't picked up on because I haven't lived through that experience or known anyone who's lived through that experience too. So if I am completely wrong and it is a glaring, signal of abuse that I'm missing, please do let me know. And I do understand that some of these scenes may be incredibly triggering and possibly impossible for some people to watch. because of their own personal experiences. And I truly hate that some people have been through really, truly terrible experiences in real life. But I can't speak to real life. I can only speak to this show and these scenes. And I've picked this scene out because it does fascinate me. I mean, I wish that I had the answer as to why it does fascinate me. But if you have an idea, let me know in the comments and I'll be right there with you. Woo! So I'm glad I got that off my chest. Now, there are so many other scenes to go into with Louis and Armand, but I specifically wanted to focus on their 1973 fight because it is objective. We have the evidence, we have the recording of it. It's not somebody's perspective. And from something that is objective, we're going to head to something that is entirely subjective. All of the information we have from season 1 and 2 is from Louis and the written words of Claudia. So, pinch of salt. But still, let's get into Louis and Lestat's relationship. Louis and Loustat are terrible for each other. But at the same time, they're perfect for each other. I love the coffin scenes when Loustat is trying to make things up with Louis, when they're just two parents discussing their teenage daughter, when they sneak adult time away from their fledgling. Oh, so cute. I love the mon cher of it all. Their cute moments are so loving. And although there is a strange dynamic, Maker versus the new vampire who relies on his maker for all vampire knowledge, I love that Lestat opened up to Louis about his deepest fear, abandonment and vampire loneliness. I love the way that Louis looks at Lestat in the first few years. I love their happy, murderous family in the first few years of that too. I didn't love that Lestat cheated for so much of their relationship. I mean, if you're open, just be honest, right? I didn't love that he could do it, and if Louis dared to do the same, Lestat lost it and became an absolute creeper. I can't say that line. I can't get it out without laughing. I'm so sorry. I didn't love the circumstances of Claudia's turning. In fact, I hated them. I didn't love that Louis would use Lestat's love for him and withhold his love for Lestat. The fact that he never told Lestat that he loved him in 30 odd years. Oh, Louis, come on. And both Louis and Lestat did horrific things to each other. Lestat dropped Louis. I mean, I've spoken about this in my previous videos, but for any new viewers, just know that I don't condone it. But in the same breath, Louis also slit Lestat's, well, you know what he did. He actually did it. I don't justify or rationalize either of these actions. They're both horrific. Louis knew a lot of the plan and still actually went through with it. Granted, he didn't finish the job, but neither did Lestat. I don't think either of them actually wanted to, deep down. And then, of course, there was Lestat in the middle of their great big fight. In season 1, episode 5, but Lestat's account taken from season 2, episode 6, in their coffin room, Lestat is on the floor. His face is bloodied. Louis is saying some of the vilest things somebody could say to somebody else. And all the while, Lestat looks at him. He doesn't look anywhere else. He looks at Louis, waits for him to finish, and just says, "You gonna leave me?" Oh my gosh. Like, that is the thing he cared about the most. I mean, Louis, it seemed like Louis could do absolutely anything to him as long as he didn't leave him. And oh my goodness, that is so horrible. It's so, so horrible. I know that Lestat went on to drop Louis almost immediately after this, but I just, oh gosh, I don't know. It's very, very hard to be objective in that moment. And I guess that's me being toxic there because I just can't see somebody in that much fear of being left. Yeah, I don't know. But then he did drop him and then I shake it off a little bit. So yeah, it comes and goes. I don't know. And then, of course, we have the trial. Now, Lestat, you didn't just move Claudia. You moved me too. And I know this is going to sound very Lestat apologist. I'm so sorry about it. But again, this is about me being toxic for just a few minutes, and I just have to get it out. But that apology, I mean, I've never ever heard the perspective of the person who hurt their partner like this before. Lestat said, I broke what I could not own. What is worse than that? Not much, Loustat, not much. But then he goes on to say, I hurt the one, I hurt the only one, and I will forever be sorry for what I did to you. Now, this is Loustat apologising to Louis very sincerely after what Louis did to him. Now, I understand needing someone. I understand loving someone so much that it hurts. I even understand unrequited love. Or more accurately, I think love being withheld or rationed out or used as a method of control. Believe me, I get it. But I don't understand wanting to own that thing so much that when it proves impossible, I then break that thing into pieces. I can't understand that. But I do hear Lestat when he explains it. I don't know if it's the look in his eyes when he delivers the lines, or if it's the palpable regret and shame. But I hear every word. I mean, it probably is the look in his eyes, if I'm going to be very honest with you. But then I remember that this is all being said during the show trial that will end in the demise of their daughter. He travelled to Paris specifically for it. And that's when I come to and shake it off. But every time I rewatch this scene, I fall straight back into the feeling of being completely moved by his words. Louis was tired at this point. This apology didn't move him. And I don't blame him at all. So why do I still want them to forgive each other fully and just be happy together? Why does the prospect of their reconciliation in season 3 fill me with so much joy? If a friend of mine sat me down and told me that this was the truth of their relationship, I wouldn't leave their side until they left that person. And I would also have some very stern words for their behaviour too. Then I would suggest they start therapy, like today. That's real life Bissy. But Bissy enjoying this show, well, I literally can't get enough of these two. The mess is exhilarating. And we've had a front row seat, albeit from a skewed perspective. And then there's the whole I'll be with him of it all. What must the conversation have been on the ride home after that? Louis could barely stand to look at Armand in that flat post-rampage. And yet, in front of Lestat, he lays the most passionate kiss on him, for show. And yet Armand stays and takes all that Louis throws at him over the next 8-ish decades. And Louis stays too. Is it out of spite? As he never forgets Armand's part in Paris. He still carries the rocks in his ankles till this day. If you feel the same, please let me know why you think it is that this toxic relationship is just so addictive. I really want to hear from you. So, in conclusion, I think I'm the problem. I mean, I must be. Because Anne Rice and the writers of the show have given every reason not to love these vampires, based on their actions alone. But here I am, so enamored of them, that I'm literally writing essays each week and creating YouTube videos about them. I don't get it, but I don't think I'm alone, which is very comforting. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts on my ramblings, and I'll be down in the comments with you. I was actually really nervous about creating and posting this video, so thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do think about subscribing for more analysis and, of course, my reaction videos. And if you can, I'd love it if you could join my clean club. Thanks, bye!